Hi there. In our devotion today, I want to take you to some of the passages in Luke's Gospel to talk about the importance of prayer. Prayer life is very essential for a Christian. Where do you learn from it? You learn from it from Jesus because Luke's Gospel mentions about the Jesus' habit of praying alone. Praying alone is important for Jesus. Now, Luke's Gospel, chapter 5, verse 16 says, if you look at it, it says, Jesus went to a lonely place and he spent time in praying to God the Father. And then, if you turn to chapter 6, verse 12, it says, Jesus went to a mountainside and spent time in prayer, and he prayed all night, talking to God and listening to God. And then, if you look at chapter 9 and verse 18, it says, Jesus went to a private place and prayed. And then chapter 11 verse 1 it says Jesus went to a certain place and prayed. So very often you find again and again Luke mentions that Jesus spent time alone with God the Father and spending time to listen to him what the Father is saying. Why Jesus did it? Jesus did it so that he can do exactly what the Father's will is, Father's desire is. And if you don't listen to him or if you don't, spend time with him, you do not know the will of the Father. So Jesus came into this world to do the will of the Father. He very often mentions that I have come to do the will of the Father. To understand the will of the Father, he needs to spend a lot of time in praying and listening to God the Father. So, very often Jesus, praying and by himself, and disciples watched that and they wanted to know about this prayer. So they came to Jesus and asked him, Jesus, would you please teach us how to pray? And Jesus taught them to pray. But if you turn to chapter 18 in the Luke's Gospel, and from verse 1 onwards, there's a passage that tells us that the importance of not only praying, but praying without ceasing. And so let me read it for you. It says in verse 1, chapter 18, then Jesus told his disciples a parable to show them that they should always pray and not give up. So Jesus wants them to understand, prayer is not something that you use it as a spare tire, but you use it every day of your life, every moment of your life. If you build that habit in your life, what happens is that you will come closer and closer to God to understand the will of God and do the will of God in your life. So, as usual, Jesus told a story, a parable. Let me read it for you. In verse 2, it says, in a certain town there was a judge who neither feared God nor cared about men. And there was a widow in that town who kept coming to him with the plea, grant me justice against my adversary. For some time he refused, but finally he said to himself, even though I don't fear God or care about men, yet because this woman or this widow keeps bothering me, I will see that she gets justice, so that she won't eventually wear me out with her coming. And the Lord said, listen to what the unjust judge says. And will not God bring about justice for his chosen ones who cry out to him day and night? Will he keep putting them off? I tell you, he will see that they get justice and quickly. However, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth? Jesus talked about this small little parable about a widow asking for justice in her life. She kept coming to this judge, and the judge don't care about God, don't care about anybody. And because of this widow kept coming and bothering him day after day, he decided, okay, I have to do something about it. And she got her justice because of her persistence. That is the parable that Jesus uses here to teach us that it is important. Whatever may be the reason that you are praying, you want to pray to God and asking God certain things, then if you think that God is not going to listen, then your prayer is useless. But if you believe, as Jesus teaches here, that God answers prayer, if you persistently pray for his chosen ones, he will bring justice quickly. And that is why it is so important for us day after day to seek His face, seek God's presence in our life, spend time with Him. It's a special thing when you get up early in the morning and talk to the Lord and listen to Him, and so that you will be able to know the will of the Father in your life and will be able to obey Him and walk in His path. It is a wonderful thing to have built up that relationship, that fellowship with God the Father. That is the most important thing that you can do for yourself, building the relationship to the Father. Jesus did it, and you need to do it. We have to learn from the Master. God bless you today as you continue to increase in your prayer time with the Lord. God bless you.